Good morning, children. Today I will be taking a class on ocular microbiology. Now, as you all know that on the external surface of the cornea there is a precorneal tear film, and there are some cytological markers which will help you to diagnose whether an ongoing inflammation onto the ocular surface is in the stage of progression or regression or in the stage of complications. In the early part of the ulcer, that is called the progressive stage of the ulcer, the polymorphonuclear cells appear as cytological markers within the first 2 days. They are the first line of defense. In the later period, in the regressive stage of the ulcer, the titer of the polymorphonuclear cells or the other cytological markers gradually increases. Finally, you end up in a stage of healing where the fibroblast will replace the polymorphonuclear cells as chief cytological markers. Now, the fibroblasts are nothing but transformed histiocytes and keratocytes. There are some commensals. What are commensals? These are the resident flora which are normally situated in the ocular surface, and they under normal circumstances will not cause any disease to the person. Now, main commensals are staph species and the bacillus species and the cornybacterium. They are usually present in the lid margin, though there are some pathological organisms like staph. Now, staph or staphylococcus, what you can say, liberates 2 or 3 types of toxins, of which alpha toxin is of our importance since this toxin affects the eye. Then comes the streptopneumoniae that actually liberates a special kind of ocular toxin called cytolysine, which is responsible for ocular damage. Then the Pseudomonas actually liberates exotoxin A, which has got a catastrophic effect on ocular structures. Now, how can you classify the pathogenic bacteria? They are mainly classified as far as the Gram stain is concerned. There are 4 classifications actually. Typical pathological bacterial classifications, they are gram positive cocci and gram positive bacilli, and gram negative cocci and gram negative bacilli. Now, among the gram positive cocci, staph and strepto are the main important species, Staphylococcus and Streptococcus. Among the gram positive bacilli, Cornybacterium, Nocardia and Listeria monocytogenes. Among the gram negative cocci, Neisseria and Primomela cataralis. And among the gram negative bacilli, mainly Pseudomonas, Proteus, Haemophilus, E. coli and Klebsiella pneumoniae. These last group, that is gram negative bacilli, is of great importance to the ocular surface, since these are the most catastrophic effect. These are the bacilli which causes most catastrophic effect on the ocular surface. Lastly, there are some low grade pathogenic organisms, or what you can say atypical organisms. The prototype is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Now, Mycobacterium again can be divided into 2. One is called the typical Mycobacterium tuberculosis and the atypical, of which Mycobacterium cheiloni and Mycobacterium fortuitum are the prototypes of atypical microorganisms. Among the fungus, now these are classified according to their architecture. Now, we tend to have a dimorphic fungus. The prototype is Blastomyces. Then we have a yeast-like organism. Prototype is Candida albicans and Cryptococcus. They are the budding cells. Then we have the Demataceous fungus. They are Calvaria species and Cladosporidium. These are mainly the pigmented fungi. They usually causes pigmented lesion over the cornea, or what you can say pigmented corneal ulcer. Then we have the moniliform organism. The prototype is Fusarium and Aspergillus. These are the main subtypes of commonly encountered fungi which is causing fungal keratitis. Though there are some organisms that can penetrate intact corneal epithelium. Now the question is how you can approach a case of infectious keratitis as far as the ocular microbiology is concerned. Now first thing is that you have to do a scraping. Now where you can do a scraping, either it can be in the operation theatre or OT, or it can be in the OPD itself. In OPD itself, we usually do scraping under slit lamp after putting fluorescent dye onto the patient's eye, and then we actually anesthetize the ocular surface by putting a drop of proparacaine hydrochloride. Now with the help of a Bart Parker blade number 15, the blunt side, we actually take the scraping samples. Now what are the sites of taking the scraping? Mainly from the two sides. One scraping is to be taken from the base of the ulcer, and another site is from the advancing edge of the ulcer. Though there are certain contraindications of scraping, mainly if you are encountering a deep-seated keratomycosis or deep corneal ulcer. What is the criteria of deep corneal ulcer? Where at least 50%, more than 50% of the stroma is invaded, or where there is a chance of perforation due to descemetocele, or where there is a deep-seated corneal abscess threatening the respiratory membrane. These are the contraindications of taking the scraping. Now how can you inoculate on solid agar? We normally prefer a surface streak. Now KVH is of paramount importance. It is usually available in a strength of 10%, and 0.1% glycerol is added in the KVH formulation. The role of the glycerol is acts as a mordant or fixative. Now what does the KVH stain? It usually stains the bacteria, the fungus, as well as the acanthamoeba cysts. Now why the fungal elements or fungal filaments are actually stained by the KVH? This is due to chitin content in their walls. Now comes the culture media. Now these are the commonly used culture media, of which blood agar is of main importance. It is the most commonly used culture media we normally use. Then comes the chocolate agar, which is nothing but heated blood agar. Now there are certain organisms which preferentially grow on the chocolate agar. They are the Moraxella, Neisseria, and the Haemophilus. As far as the fungal culture is concerned, you have SDA, that is Savarot's dextrose agar, or PDA, or Potato's dextrose agar. Now the typical colonies usually come up in the SDA or Savarot's dextrose agar, though certain spores are better in PD. Now how long it takes to form a typical fungal colony? It is usually 2 hours, or it is usually 2 days or 48 hours. Now before you discard any culture as negative, you have to continue the culture for at least 2 weeks or 14 days. Then you can declare that the culture is negative. In our part of Gangetic West Bengal, we tend to have more than 50% culture negative corneal ulcers. Now what is the role of incorporation of broad spectrum antibiotic in fungal non-nutrient agar? This actually helps in suppressing the growth of the bacteria, which otherwise will interfere with the growth of the fungus. For anaerobics or microaerophilics, we usually use a thioglycolate broth agar. Next comes the acanthamoeba culture. It is of great importance because acanthamoeba nowadays is creeping up, especially in monsoon season. Now the media of choice is non-nutrient agar with E. coli overlay. Now the question is why the E. coli overlay is given. It actually provides energy for the growth of the acanthamoeba. Now acanthamoeba is usually obtained in two forms. One is the trophozoite and another is the cystic forms. Now normally within a span of 48 hours or 2 days the trophozoites will come up in the culture media, though the typical cysts will take may take at least 7 to 10 days to flourish within the acanthamoeba culture media. Typical cysts are classically described as bivalve cyst having pores. If you can look at the right hand side picture, this is the typical acanthamoeba cyst documented. These are the bivalve cysts and they are also having intermittent pores. Now how can you culture the Mycobacterium? The Mycobacteria is typical and atypical, though both types are actually cultured in the Zn stain. Giemsa stain is a special kind of stain that will help you to differentiate an infectious from non-infectious keratitis. In infectious keratitis, in Giemsa stain you tend to get more polymorphonuclear cells, and in non-infectious keratitis, mainly of allergic etiologies, more of a basophils and eosinophils come up in the smear. Acanthamoeba cysts are very beautifully demonstrated in the Giemsa stain. If you can see in the slide number 11 right hand side picture, you can see that the acanthamoeba cysts are actually demonstrated with the Giemsa stain. Now common stains which normally we use in ocular microbiology are the Gram stains. They actually stains the bacteria, they stains the fungus, and they stain the acanthamoeba. Besides Gram stain, we normally use Giemsa, Zn and lactophenol cotton blue for the fungal acanthamoeba cysts. Mind it, LCB does not show acanthamoeba trophozoites. Now recent advance is fluorescent microscopy. We have some kind of fluorescent dyes which normally emits beautiful lights which otherwise will help to diagnose a certain kind of microorganisms. Chalcopher white is actually a special kind of fluorescent microscopy which is used to diagnose fungus, then cysts and the microsporidium, but the trophozoites are actually not stained. In the left hand, in the slide number 14, in the left hand side picture, you can see that the Chalcopher white stained smear is actually shown. Now comes the acridine orange. It actually shows green color in live organisms and red in negative samples. In the slide number 14, in the right hand side picture, you will see acridine orange smear. In the middle picture of slide number 14, you see that yellow to orangish mycobacteria are demonstrated. This stain is called auramine rhodamine stain. Next is how to interpret the culture. This is of very importance because before you interpret the culture, you should have a sound knowledge about the normal commensals, which are the resident bacterial flora in that area or that geographic area. Now the area of confluence growth is actually obtained along the line of the streak inoculation. Any growth which is situated away from the line of the inoculation is considered as not as pathogenic. Now isolates are likely to be significant if the same organism is detected both in the culture as well as in the smear, number 1. Number 2, the same organism can be detected in repeated culture, and number 3, the same organism can be detected in more than one culture media. So these are the three factors by which you can say that your isolates are likely to be significant. Now, as I have already discussed, there is a great issue of culture negative corneal ulcer. Now in our part of the India, we tend to have more than 50% culture negative corneal ulcer. So in that case, there are two secondary steps which you can undertake. One is called the corneal biopsy. Now indications of corneal biopsy is where your twice repeated culture negative organism, twice repeated cultures are negative, and if the biopsy doesn't work, then you can go for anterior chamber paracentesis. Now anterior chamber paracentesis is mainly reserved for deep seated keratomycosis with endothelial exudates or fungal ball. So that concludes our class on ocular microbiology. Thank you.